Michael Newcomer with Michael Newcomer Photography, and today I'm just going to do an introduction to Lightroom, and I'm not going to get real involved with a lot of editing or anything today because I know a lot of folks just have a lot of pictures piling up on cell phones or memory cards, and maybe you're looking for a way to organize these photos. You don't necessarily maybe want to delete them, or you want to save them for later, but you're just not sure whether you should just keep buying bigger memory cards and just let them stack up, or what you should do with them. So Lightroom for me has, when I first started out in digital photography, I just wanted to take snapshots of my family and stuff, and it wasn't a serious professional thing at the time. But after a while, I started getting thousands of photos of my family and stuff just in folders, and every time I would want to find a particular folder or picture in those folders, it was time consuming to scroll through. I think at the time I just used Picture Viewer in Mac, which was just terrible, or Bridge I used for a while, and when I had Photoshop for work, and it was awful trying to find photos. So when Lightroom came along, it was originally a standalone program. It was about 89 bucks at the time. I went ahead and bought it, and I absolutely loved it. And since then, Adobe has gone to a subscription model, which is $9.99 a month for both Lightroom and Photoshop, which I use a lot. I use both of them. But even if I only used Lightroom to organize my photos, $9.99 a month is not bad considering the functionality of Lightroom. So this video is just about how to introduce you to how I organize my photos. And by no means do I suggest that this is the way you organize your photos, because everyone's filing structure has to fit the way they do things, but this is just the way that I've learned over the years. And first I'm going to take you over here to the actual Finder, where all the folders I have for my photos is stored on my hard drive. And as you can see, I have a folder here named Archives that contains all my graphic design, everything photo related in the world for me is in there. And then inside of here I have my photos folder, and I've separated everything by year, and all of my photos from that year are contained inside of there in categories. Now, I didn't create any of these on the hard drive. I did all of that in Lightroom, but I'm just showing you this part to show you what's going on your hard drive as you're making folders and moving photos inside Lightroom. It's actually happening on your hard drive. And the reason I showed you this first is you do not ever want to move photos in your catalog around using the Finder or the operating system. You want to do all your moving of photos inside of Lightroom, because if I start dragging these pictures to different folders, then Lightroom database will lose track of that photo, and you won't be able to find it without doing a search up here in your Finder, and we all know how that can go. So in Lightroom are these same folders on this side, is showing you the volume that it's on and where everything is. That's that folders photo with all the years underneath it, just like you had in your Finder window over there. But I do all of my moving of photos here in between folders right inside this program. And that way, no matter where I move that photo in here, the database will always be able to find it later. So more on that in a minute. So I have all of my photos, like I said, separated by year, usually by category like this, but also you can put subfolders into these you could make subfolders of subfolders of subfolders and go on forever if you want. But I try to keep it very simple and organized. Like I like to separate places I've been. Like if I go someplace shooting for a day, I'll make a folder with just that place in it that has all the folders of that location inside of there, and then same with everything. But the most important part of all of this are these keywords that appear over here in the right hand side. I've given all of these photos a keyword as to what it is. Like that's a fountain, it was at Duke Gardens. There's some tulips, pink. I'm giving it as many keywords as I need to. However I want to find this photo later on is what I'm going to look in there, look for it under. That's my sister Jelana. There's tulips in there. It's also at Duke Gardens. So I can put in any of these keywords and find this picture later on. So let's just start from the basics here. I have a to be processed folder in each year, and that's just the working folder that I'm in when I'm finishing all my editing and I'm sharing from here. Before I put them away in their homes forever in these other folders, I do all my changes inside of this folder. I'm still editing some of these. As you can see, I've given them all keywords to everybody who is in those folders. Like there's my little nephew Aaron, here's my sister, here's food. Didn't name that one, so let's name it right now. It's food. It was good food, but it's food. So let's say I want to call it food, but it was also Mexican food. And let's say, oh, I was at Casa Mexicana restaurant, so that's what I'm going to, Casa Mexicana. And all these pop up because I've used them before in other photos, and it will remember that, where you don't have to completely retype each one. So now, when I want to find this photo, all I'll have to put in is, let's go up here to my main folder on the left-hand side, put in text, and let's go Casa Mexicana. That's one of the keywords I gave that a minute ago. And it will pull up every photo I've ever had there, and there's my photo down there. So let's say, what if I didn't search like that? It's going to be Mexican food. And there's all my pictures of Mexican food that I have. I know it's silly that it's food and everything, but that's just showing you how I do the photos. I have a memory card here, which has a few photos on it that I'm going to insert. Let's just say you've taken these photos and now you want to get them into your catalog. So I'm just going to insert this into the card reader I have attached to my computer. And it's going to take me right into the import dialog. So this is showing you the photos that you have on your memory card, and it's going to ask you where you want to put these photos. So each check mark indicates that that photo is going to be imported. I can copy as DNG, which is going to convert all these photos to DNG when they're imported, which I don't want to do anymore. I used to all the time, but found it incompatible with some other programs. So I'm just going to copy it as is, which are raw files, and I always recommend shooting in raw because you can correct a lot of errors that way. It's not going to let me move or add because these are not, these are brand new photos and I haven't imported them into the catalog yet. So this is showing me my sources over here. Where am I going to get these from? Well, that's my memory card, the EOS digital over here. And over on the right hand side are things that are going to happen to these photos when I import them. So at the top I'm having them rename these photos, and the file structure I've chosen for my catalog is to have the year, the month they were shot, and then followed by this file number that the camera has given it. And the reason I do this is to keep it from overriding anything when my camera cycles around to the same file number again in the future. If that's happened to me, I had to learn that the hard way, and you don't want to have your photos overridden at things and lose photos that way. So it's going to have a unique name. I have a preset over here of Michael's copyright that I want it to apply, and all that is putting in the metadata that it's my photo and please don't steal it from me or use it and things like that. That way if I share that photo or something like that, that copyright information is embedded right into the file of the photo. I can also add any keywords to all of these upon import if I wanted to, like if they're all one location or one person or event, you can put those there. And for this one I'm not going to do that this time. And this is showing you in the next pane where it's going to go. So it's not going to the hard drive, it's going to my RAID. It's going in that archives folder. Remember I was showing you on the Finder. And inside of that is the photos folder. And inside of that is the 2018. And it's going to my working file, or the to be processed folder. And then the computer will generate, or Lightroom will generate these subfolders by date the photos were shot. You can see all 9 of them were shot on 9/9. should have had a lotto ticket with that number today. So everything else looks good. I'm going to go ahead and import those. Press the import button, and you can see over here it's created that subfolder and it's dumping them in after renaming them. And there they are. So I've got to have it automatically set up to eject my card after it's imported, so we can pull that out of there. And then here's all my photos, and now the very first thing I'm going to do is name these photos to who appears in this photo so that I can always find them later on. And I can see in every one of these photos, my little nephew Aaron appears in all of them. So I'm just going to click the first one, hold down Shift, click the last one to select them all. And over in my keywords, I'm just going to highlight that and put Aaron. So if you've used the keyword before, just the first few letters of it will usually find it, and then hit enter and pop it right up there in the top. And then this little icon shows up on the bottom of the photos to show you now it has a keyword tag with that person in it. But as you can see, I have another person in here. That's my nephew Landon. So he only appears in one photo, so I'm just going to click on it and put Landon. So if I have a photo of an event with lots of different people in all these photos, I usually just start with the first person I find and then hold down Command and just click the other photos that person is in, and then I can keyword those and then deselect them and go back to the next person and then click all the photos that that person's in, keyword it. It seems kind of time consuming at first, but you'll get really fast at it, and it is really important to do so that you can find your photos forever once they're in the system. It stays with that file forever, those keyword names, and you can always find your photos. So right here is also where I decide, well, this photo didn't really turn out. He kind of jumped up and everything. I don't want to keep that in my catalog, so I'm going to hit delete. And you can either remove it from the catalog, which will keep it on your hard drive and just remove it from the database, or you can delete from disk entirely, and that's what I'm going to do. I don't need those extra files cluttering up the hard drive and everything, photos that didn't turn out. Another thing Lightroom has that I really enjoy a lot is in the develop settings, which is a total different video for another day. But one thing I wanted to show you is no matter what lens you used on your camera, or even if it's a cell phone lens or whatever, built into Lightroom are lens profile corrections, which will kind of make up for any deficiencies that a particular lens would have. Like this particular lens was my Sigma 24-105, which I know has some vignetting issues, and especially has a little distortion in the center of it. And to fix that myself on every single photo would be time consuming. But built into Lightroom are these lens profile corrections. So even if I shot all of these photos with a different lens, the system will be able to identify what lens it was and make the corrections for it based on the metadata. So I have all of my pictures highlighted, and I'm just had it auto sync down here, which means anything I do is going to be applied to all these photos. And I'm just going to click Enable Profile Corrections, and you can see right away the change that it made in that photo. I'll just click the first photo here to show you. There's the before. You can see it's kind of got some vignetting around the edges, and then after, corrected that distortion in the middle. It does a really nice job for it, and that is probably one of the biggest reasons I stay with Lightroom, is because that lens profile correction saves a lot of time of me trying to transform and make all those corrections manually. So I'm back in the library modules where we do all the file structure and keywords and metadata and all of those things. Develop module is where we actually do all of the editing over here with all the different adjustments that we can make. And I'll make a separate tutorial for all of these controls and everything. You can edit a photo beginning to end in Lightroom and have gorgeous results. here lately I've just been using other photo editing software, but Lightroom is perfectly capable. I just prefer other things right now. So I still use Lightroom to organize everything though. So I have these folders, the new ones I just imported in this extra folder down here. I don't like these extra folders. And as I said before, the to be processed folder is where I do all my editing and everything. And I want to move these folders, these pictures, out of that subfolder and into the other folder. And remember I said always do your moving inside of Lightroom so that the corresponding files are moved in the operating system. So you just take and drag these to wherever you want them, and I want them in my to be processed folder. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. We don't need it anymore. And then here these pictures are, and I have them organized by capture time, and always your newest ones will be at the bottom if you do that. So let's say I have a graphic design need, and I need some kind of a purple flower. We can search those keywords by text, attribute, metadata, and any one of those three I've had luck with finding things before, but the whole purpose of keywording is to find it easily by text. That's the most human of those three and the most organic and the easiest, I think, to find things by. So let's just go into my top folder, which is, if I'm clicked on my main folder over here on the left, it's going to search all the subfolders that are included in it. And same if I clicked on a certain year, it's only going to search within that folder that I've clicked on and its subfolders. So, but I want a purple flower for my graphic design project, and I want to look at all the photos of purple flowers I've ever taken. So I'm going to click on that top one, I'm going to click on text, and I'm going to put purple flower. And that's going to, you don't even have to hit enter, it'll automatically bring them all up. And it has every photo I've ever taken of any purple flower, because when I keyworded them over here on the right, I put flower, flowers, ground cover, purple flowers. So as long as I have that purple flowers in there, it's going to find it. Like here's one of a redbud tree. I have flower, flowering tree, flowers, pink flowers. Anything I could think of that I put in as a keyword that would help me to find this photo later when I really wanted to find that photo. I have a redbud tree. Same here with these redbuds. So let's say, okay, now I want to find a person. Who can I find a person of? Let's see. Let's say I want pictures of my dad. And this is going to have all my pictures of my dad all the way back to where I first started taking photos through today. All the way in the newest photos I just took of him. So that works for absolutely anything or anyone you want to find, provided you put these keywords over here to find that. Like let's say I took a picture of a courthouse. I can't remember even what county it was in. So let's just go courthouse. It brings up all the pictures. Please excuse my early HDRs, but it brings up all the photos of courthouses that I've taken over the years. So you can do that to find any kind of, let's say, a cardinal. Brings up pictures of cardinals that I have. As long as you're keywording these, you can always find the photo. So I'm not saying that this filing system here is probably not perfect. It's perfect for what I do. A professional photographer, I know they get pretty wild sometimes with some of their file structures, but as long as they know what their file structure is, they're good to go. So the key here is doing what works best for you and how you want to organize your photos and how your brain works. That's one thing I like about Lightroom, is that it is fully customizable. Everything in here, even these nameplates at the top where I have my wacky Battlestar Galactica font and how things are laid out, where they're at, everything in here is absolutely customizable to how you want to do it. This is just basically scratching the surface of Lightroom. It's a very powerful tool in every aspect of photo editing. and I'm going to do more in-depth videos on it in the future, but this was just a way to let you know how you can organize all of your photos to where you can save them and find them easily if you want to. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, give it a like and a share, or a subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my instructional videos. And if you know me and you have a question, just ask me or leave it in the comments below.